think back to doing it on the home floor, that celebration, what did that mean to you?
Yeah, man, it was definitely a lot sweeter, doing it at home. Very validating for me. Like I said, over the years, just all the time I put in just to my craft and just to the city, the organization, and got a chance to do something special. So don't take it for granted.
Myles, this looks like something that's on the rise still, and yet it took 25 years for the Pacers to get back to the finals. How much of a mentality do you have to have that there's no guarantee you can get back here in another year or two, or that this is still the start of something, that this may be the opportunity?
Of course, it's a great way of looking at it. I don't, again, it's taken me 10 years myself just to get here. So, I just, it's a little bittersweet, but at the same time, the fact that it's finally here, you're right. Taking the opportunity and just running with it. You never know when you're going to be back here. You never know if the circumstances are going to be the same. And while the opportunity is here presenting itself, you take full advantage of it.
You go to Montana often?
I usually go to more Wyoming. I go to Wyoming. I go to Wyoming every summer. Like it's Jacksonville area, Teton Village, and whatnot. But we drove up to Idaho, Montana last summer.
When you thought then about this, is the emotions you have right now about what you expected, how you hoped it would feel to be on this stage?
I wasn't sure how to feel, honestly. Because you thought about. You spend so much time thinking about getting there, but it's like you're here now. So it's like you didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about, okay, when I'm here, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do that. It's like let's just get there. So now that milestones, has been achieved, it's about doing something with the opportunity. Like we talked about earlier.
Myles, as a kid, what was the first NBA Finals you remember watching and paying attention to?
Yeah, no BS. The first one I watched was Rick's run, 2011.
Same Tyrese.
Yeah, I'm a Dallas kid, man, and I really, they had got to the finals. I think Avery Johnson was the coach. Yeah, but I didn't really know. I was kind of just young, I didn't really just like watch it for what it was. But I was a teenager when I was going on with the finals and whatnot with Dallas. So I watched that one in depth. I had a relationship with Chris Bosh when I was coming up too. So just watched him, and honestly, it was everybody was going for the heat at that time. They had Chris Bosh, Wade, LeBron, and all them. But when Rick proved with Dirk and the rest of his team, it's just that the right time, anybody can get hot and take it.
Tyrese said he hated Rick for this.
Nah, man. I think for me personally, I think it was more so about just the city. Dallas was like I'd never seen it like that before. I'm from 30 minutes away from where Dallas is at, and we had local vendors out there selling finals T-shirts, and everybody was hyped. The city was just in a whole different environment. So just what the finals would do for a city is something I think I took for underestimated as well. It's just been a different buzz here around Indianapolis. It's just been these fans deserve this.
Tyrese said
the Simon family and the Pacers organization is flying out all the full-time employees. So you have the support there at KC. Just how special is that? How cool is that you guys will have that support?
Yeah, it's I expect nothing less from the Simon family. They're a very accommodating group. Especially because of their players and the organization. It's something they take a lot of pride in. So it's going to be amazing just to have my peoples up there and just the rest of us to have the support. It's going to go into a hostile environment. So just take as much support as you can.
Myles, you mentioned several times over the last 3 years about how a lot of these guys on this roster, almost everybody's been doubted in some way, shape, or form, and that kind of creates an underdog mentality here. How much do you think that still drives you guys, or kind of forms the, kind of the soul of this team, I guess?
Yeah, and we thrive off it. I think since last year, every playoff series, we've been the quote-unquote underdog. People aren't expecting us to win where we're at right now, and until we prove it, people are going to think how they think. So I think that it definitely thrives us, thrown through that adversity and whatnot, and just, I personally wouldn't want it any other way.
Myles, to that point, how do you think Ty has kind of embraced everything that comes with being the quote-unquote underdog, the pressure, the spotlight, since you met him when he first got here till now?
He was underdog when he first got here, so not much has changed, for him. He got traded away, and people kind of wrote him off, so he kind of had to, make his own way back, into the fold. And again, I don't think much has changed for him. I think his mentality has just been sharp. I think it's exactly where he needs to be, and he's improved upon it, year after year since he's been here. So I think it's a lot that comes with being the superstar, being the man, and I think he's handling it really well.
What do you think it does for a team to have somebody be candid about all that it is? 'Cause he's very open with us when most athletes probably aren't.
Yeah.
And how can that be maybe a strength when you like this guy's actually gonna be honest about how he feels, what's going on, and obviously I expect him to be more honest with you all than us. But what has that been like for you as the teammate?
He's got a big persona, man, and again, people don't like that because of how confident he is. It's one thing to talk, it's another thing to talk and actually show it. And he expresses how he feels, and I'd rather have someone on my team that does that than suppress their feelings or talk behind your back. He's gonna tell you exactly how he feels about every situation. And again, it's a rarity, but in your point guard, it's something I think is necessary.
What makes OKC so good, especially on defense?
They thrive off turnovers. You know, they swarm the ball. They do a good job of just rotating and flying around. They don't necessarily have matchups. You know, they got guys cross-match playing different guys, and you know, they've been one of the better teams, especially defensive teams, you know, all season long. So you know, there's proper respect there. But at the same time, you know, we got one of the best staffs, you know, in this league. You know, they've been preparing us over these past couple of days, you know, for what's to come. So you know, we get in that environment and just apply our principles.
They've been one of the best home teams too. You guys have been able to steal on the road and play really well on the road. How do you use that as you go into what's going to be your hardest environment so far?
Nothing changed for us. You know, you go in there and just you stare down the opponents and with everybody else. And again, you apply your principles, you apply everything we worked on all season long, and then you know, this is what we do it for. You know, there's no greater stage.
Always ready for it,
Learned a lot about defending him from last year. What's different for you this time? Or were you in any way more motivated about defending? You didn't have that assignment for much this year.
This is about competing every possession, trying to make it tough, and seeing where it ends up at the end of the game. Because there's that time that he's one of myself. Just gotta compete and try to play hard.
How much of that can you apply now to Shea and a Thunderstorm?
Same mentality going into the show.
How much of it is maybe mentality as opposed to the physical things that a fan can see when you're preparing for defending a guard like that?
How much of it is mentality?
Compared to like what a fan can see, you know, on video or live.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixture of both, playing hard, and competing, as well as strategy and understanding tendencies and trying to figure out a little bit.
You've obviously been defending top-level guys for most of the last 3 years. What have you learned about dealing with guys that make a point to get fouled, basically? What do you have to learn about dealing with that when guys, you know, that's part of their game is getting themselves in position to draw fouls, and how have you kind of gotten better, do you think, at handling that over time?
Yeah, through experience, you just find out places where your hands get in the way and try to keep them back while also being physical and being in the right spots, but keeping your hands away, keep your hands off.
What team makes this Thunder defense so good?
And they have a lot of individually good defenders. When they come together as a group, I think it's a good team defense. You know, athletic, versatile, physical.
Is it similar in any way to any of the teams that you've faced already? Defensively, for you guys, defensively.
Drew, obviously you had a chance to play with SGA and Lou in the national team. What's it going to be like to just face them again on this stage?
I'm looking at like another opponent. You know, it's going to be confident, it's going to be competitive. I always want to see them do well when I'm not playing against them, but now we're competing, so it'll be fun. It'll be good competition.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Drew.